It was night and the moon was shining high in the sky, and in some remote part of the city was Zhao Ji's mansion. Even though it was night, Marshal Saint Zhao Ji was sitting on the floor in the hall of his mansion, meditating. While he was sunk in his thoughts, someone wearing a hood slowly opened the door. It was Lin Junyu. While her eyes were shining with curiosity, she entered the hall and began to observe Zhao Ji in silence. Upon feeling her presence, Zhao Ji turned around and his eyes widened in surprise. With a confused gaze, he began to observe her and asked why she had returned so soon, questioning if the guide had arrived too early this time. With a calm expression, Junyu took a step forward, closed her eyes and removed the mask and hood, revealing that the guide had not yet arrived. Upon hearing this, Zhao Ji's eyes widened in surprise and fear. He began to stare at her and could not help but panic. He wanted to know the reason why she was back, remembering that the nutrient liquid still could not be redeemed, without knowing if she had already obtained one. Zenyu's eyes began to shine with serenity, and her attention fixed on Zhao Ji. With a sincere gaze, she explained that this had nothing to do with it, revealing that this time she was back soon because someone wanted to see him. Zhao Ji's eyes filled with surprise and curiosity. With a serious gaze he asked who wanted to see him, giving her the order to explain herself. Junyu began to gaze at the ground in silence without responding. Zhao Ji extended his hand to one side and with a confused expression asked who wanted to see him, not knowing if she was mocking him. He began staring at her and reminded her that they had made a deal beforehand. She had accepted his energy crystals, so now she must protect him from any threat. He demanded to know the truth once and for all. Zunyu closed her eyes, began to shake her head, and explained that the person who wanted to see Zhao Ji was someone he knew very well. Just then, the figure of someone who had been hiding behind the door appeared. Zhao Ji's attention fixed on her, and his eyes widened in confusion. He began to think about people he knew very well, but did not find the answer, so he asked who was the person that so badly wanted to see him. At that moment, Lu Shang appeared and began to observe Zhao Ji with a smile. Zenyu, who had her eyes closed, extended her hands toward our boy and revealed that the reincarnation of perfection, the great Lord Lu Shang, was the one who wanted to see him. The eyes of our boy began to shine with malice, and with a smile, he greeted the martial saint Zhao Ji. Upon seeing Lu Shang, Zhao Ji's eyes filled with surprise and fear, leaving him in shock. Our boy took a step forward, and fear consumed Zhao Ji's mind, causing him to fall backward onto the ground. He began to cover his face with his hand and with an expression full of fear could not help but wonder what Lu Shang was doing here. Lu Shang began to gaze toward the ground and could not help but smile. Zenyu placed her hands on her abdomen and began to observe Zhao Ji in silence. With a worried and confused expression, Zhao Ji asked her why she had brought Lu Shang. Lu Shang's eyes began to shine with seriousness and his attention focused on Zhenyu. She looked away and her eyes filled with sincerity, knowing that Lord Lu Shang was the reincarnation of perfection. She decided to return all the crystals that Zhao Ji had given her, revealing that in front of Lu Shang, she couldn't even protect herself, so much less would she be able to protect him. Upon hearing the name Lord Lu Shang, Zhao Ji's eyes widened in fear, causing his jaw to drop in surprise. He couldn't believe that someone as strong as Zhenyu was showing so much respect for Lu Shang. He began to imagine Lu Shang standing in front of Earth and surrounded by immense martial energy on the entire blue planet. There wasn't a single person apart from the guides who could make a martial saint address them so submissively by calling them Lord. Zhao Ji's attention was fixed on Lu Shang and fear took control of his body, making him start to sweat. He swallowed hard and realized that Lu Shang had already reached level 10. His eyes began to shine with terror since he had spent a year in seclusion to heal his martial spirit, and he didn't know what the hell Lu Shang had been doing to become so strong. Lu Shang began to walk toward, consumed by fear. Zhao Ji began to retreat until his back hit the wall. Lu Shang began to stare at him and his eyes began to shine with joy. With an arrogant smile, he revealed that Zhao Ji had two options: live or die. Upon hearing this, Zhao Ji's face was covered in sweat, making him feel a fear he had never felt before. Seeing that Zhao Ji could not respond, an evil smile spread across the face of our boy. Lu Shang decided to choose for him. Just before Zhao Ji could take another breath, Lu Shang placed his hand on his forehead, causing his eyes to widen in fear. The martial saint couldn't help but scream in panic. Lu Shang began to use his powers and little by little began to hypnotize the martial saint. Several seconds later, while Lu Shang's eyes were shining with joy, he removed his hand from Zhao Ji's head, causing his body to start trembling. Zhang Yu approached him, bowed her head before him as a sign of respect, and thanked him for having spared Zhao Ji's life. Lu Shang's hypnosis worked since the martial saint, Zhao Ji opened his mouth and let his tongue fall, and little by little he began to lose his mind, going crazy. Zhao Ji began to observe the surroundings and couldn't help but laugh like a madman. Lu Shang turned his back on him and as he was walking away, said that there was nothing to thank for since in this state, Zhao Ji was not very different from being dead. Zhou Ji was like a baby. Lu Shang began to observe him with a joyful expression and a smile appeared on his face. He had just erased most of Zhao Ji's memories, then had invented and added some new random memories into his mind. This equaled tearing out a part of his original soul. Now that he had an incomplete soul, he would never be able to return to his peak in this life. Even reaching the level of a level 7 master would be quite a challenge for him. Zhang Yu began to walk beside our boy and started to observe him with a curious gaze and silence. Lu Shang left the room and with a smile explained that killing Zhao Ji would have been less useful than reforming him, since now he could do something more meaningful for the world and humanity. Lu Shang began to imagine himself as Pinocchio, realizing that he was becoming more and more like the sages and martial masters of old. He had an incredible greatness and a vision from another world. Our boy closed his eyes and with a confident smile decided to leave since Zhao Ji was going to wake up in a while, and he didn't want him to see them. While Zhao Ji's head was sparking, he began to babble and little by little started regaining consciousness. 5 minutes later, the martial saint's eyes began to shine with surprise and curiosity. He began to observe his hands and could not avoid panicking, but then his jaw dropped in surprise upon seeing that he was not dead. His eyes began to shine with emotion. Zhao Ji clenched his fist and could not help but smile, thinking that the heavens had not abandoned him, thinking that the gods had granted him a second life. He began to gaze toward the ground and tears began to stream from his eyes like a river. He began to remember the tragic death of his parents and Suzu, causing his eyes to fill with sadness and making him feel guilty. When thinking about his parents, he couldn't help but clench his teeth tightly. Then, his eyes filled with hatred, making him clench his fists tightly. He decided to return since he had to take revenge on the bastards who had murdered his family, swearing to make them pay with blood. He began to touch his head and with a confused gaze wondered how to return to his original world. Just then, a window from the martial saint system appeared in front of him. Upon seeing this, Zhao Ji's eyes widened in surprise and joy. He felt happy to see that he had a system. He began reading carefully, and realized that the mission of the system said that he had to kill 10 million mutant beasts, and if he completed the mission, he would be able to summon the Great Master and receive his legacy. The system window disappeared, and an exciting smile appeared on Zhao Ji's face as he thought of the Great Martial Master. He did not know if it was perhaps the powerful entity that had brought him to this world. He thought that it must be, since otherwise, no one else could have made him reincarnate in this world. His eyes began to shine with surprise as he thought that if he completed the system's mission, not only would he be able to return to his world, but he could even revive his parents and Suzu, with a confident smile. Zhao Ji thought that to obtain a great legacy, one must overcome great trials. He only had to kill 10 million mutant beasts, and he knew that sooner or later he would achieve it. Lu Shang and Zhang Yu were watching everything. Zhao Ji started running and decided to go to the battle line right now with the intention of killing mutant beasts, swearing to completely change his destiny in this life. When seeing Zhao Ji's behavior, Zhang Yu's eyes widened in confusion and fear. She didn't know how Lu Shang had done this. Our boy closed his eyes and explained that it wasn't worth mentioning, since it was just waste recycling. Lu Shang began to observe Zhao Ji carefully and a smile spread across his face. Actually, he had only used a small application of will simulation. In the dream space, he had absorbed a bunch of disordered memories and simply pulled out some at random and intertwined them. He began to control Zhao Ji's mind with a serious expression. He had implanted the memories in little Zhao Ji's head, giving birth to a renewed and radiant Zhao Ji. And as for his system and missions, it had been a creative improvisation. With a confident smile, Lu Shang revealed that from now on, the great martial saint, Zhao Ji, was going to dedicate his whole life to the glorious cause of humanity and its fight against mutant beasts, something moving. Zheng Yu's attention was fixed on him, and her eyes were filled with confusion. According to her, Zhao Ji was someone fortunate. It was already daytime, and while the rays of the sun were illuminating the outside of the mansion, Lu Shang and Zheng Yu began to walk across the bridge. Behind one of the trees, someone was hiding. Zheng Yu's attention fixed on them, and her eyes began to shine with curiosity. It was Lin Wanwan. Her mother turned around, clenched her fist, and in an angry tone asked what she was looking at, giving her the order to stop doing nonsense and return immediately. Lin Wanwan clenched her fists and began to observe her mother with a confused gaze. Lin Wanwan turned her back and ran out of the place. Lu Shang's attention was fixed on her, and a smile appeared on his face, realizing that she was Snowy's friend. Upon noticing Lu Shang's smile, the mother became curious. With a calm expression, she asked if Lu Shang was interested in her daughter. According to her, they could make a good couple. Upon hearing this, our boy's eyes widened in surprise and confusion. With a forced smile, he began to wave his hands in denial, explaining that it was a joke and revealing that he already had a fiancée. With a serene gaze, Zheng Yu mentioned that this was not a problem since before year one of the martial path it was very common for men to have 3 or 4 wives, and now even more so, since Lu Shang possessed the most prodigious talent under the heavens. He was the pinnacle of humanity. According to her, if Lu Shang's lineage expanded, it could be considered a great contribution to the future of Planet Blue. Lu Shang, who had his eyes closed, began to smile, explaining that he was not interested in young women. Upon hearing that Lord Lu Shang was not interested in young women, Zheng Yu's eyes widened in surprise. She looked away, began to blush, and with a nervous gaze asked if Lu Shang was interested in her. Seeing this, our boy began to sweat and went into shock. She started looking at the ground and explained that her husband had died young, and she had been alone for years and didn't mind serving her lord. She turned toward Lu Shang. Waiting for his response, our boy began sweating like crazy. He didn't want to be part of a plot involving a widow seeking comfort. With a nervous gaze, he asked her to calm down since he wasn't that kind of person. Zheng Yu began blushing and with a loving gaze asked if Lu Shang did not intend to return the energy crystals to her. Upon hearing this, Lu Shang's eyes started shining with rage. With a piercing expression, he asked what would happen if he kept the energy crystals. This is the end of the video. If you guys want to see the next part,